everyone. Welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. Welcome to the Knitting Turnpike. My name is Gina Pike, and I'm so happy that you're here today. Today we are finishing up a three-part series on how I made my first pair of socks. All of this was based on a tutorial I watched by the Crazy Sock Lady. I have a link to her video down below. I made my first pair of socks were these, and these were top-down socks. And I used the magic loop method. There are so many types of socks. You can do toe up or top down or afterthought heel, or the ribbing can be different. It could be a two by two ribbing instead of a 1 by 1 ribbing. You can close your toes in all kinds of ways. You can make your heels different colors. You can do your toes in different colors. There are so many ways to make socks. You can do patterns on the top, fair isle. You can do all kinds of color work on your socks. There's just so many ways to make your socks interesting, which is a really cool thing because we all wear socks. Well, most of us do. And socks were a main part of the everyday life. And back in the early 1900s, everybody knew how to make socks. It was even taught in the schools. And it was so popular, so well known how to make socks. There really were not a lot of patterns written down back then on how to make socks because everybody just knew how to make socks. And most of them were probably pretty boring socks like these with no patterns. But there were some that I found in my Estonian knitting book, and I'll put a picture here of some beautiful socks with beautiful color work. So it's another way they express their themselves with fashion and creativity. But everybody knew how to make socks about 100 years ago. And now today, making socks is like your own handmade socks. It's kind of like you make your own handmade socks. But anyway, it's a fun thing to do. The handmade socks are like none other. Again, this is my first pair. You can kind of see where I made mistakes. I still see on my magic loop, I still see laddering. But again, my first pair, I'm going to try better, try harder next time. Today, as I made my second sock, my first sock was to learn. My second sock, I did do video clips as I went along. Today, I'm going to be showing you how I finished up my sock. I did 2 videos earlier of the cuff and the leg. The second video was all about the heel, making the slip stitch heel, the heel turn, and then the gusset, picking up the stitches along the heel to create the gusset and the decreases that go into this, and then getting back into the round again. Today we're going to be talking about how you go on after doing that, making the foot. When you make your foot, you have to make your foot, this is one of those measurements you had to do at the very beginning. You had to measure your foot from underneath your heel to the longest part of your toe. And there's also a chart that you can use if you know your shoe size. Now, I measured my foot. My foot was 9.5 inches from my longest toe to my heel, where my heel stops and turns up. And I also looked that up in the chart because I wanted to see how it correlated. And my foot size my shoe size is a US 8. For that, it was it said my shoe, I should make a sock 9.5 inches. So my foot correlates really well with the shoe size in that chart. So hopefully that's something you can rely on if you have somebody you want to make some socks for and you know their shoe size, but you don't have their foot readily available to measure. Then you could use that chart and probably get really close to making a sock that will fit their foot without having their foot to measure. Anyway, for this part, before I digress too long, you make you knit your sock, and you're going to knit that measurement. So my foot was 9.5 inches. You're going to subtract 1.5 inches off of that measurement. So 9.5 minus 1.5, 8 inches. So I had to make my sock from here to here. I want to knit this for 8 inches. And after I knit 8 inches, that's where I'm going to start doing my decreases on my toe to bring my toe in, to start my toe. Let me show you how to do the sock. It's really simple. It's just knitting in the round. But let me insert that clip, and then we'll come back and talk about the toe decreases. So I'm working on this part of the sock now. We finished the heel and the heel turn, and we picked up the gusset, and now we're knitting the foot. Again, we have the 2 needles with the same number of stitches on the top and on the bottom. I wanted to show you, this is why you measure your foot from the back of your heel to the tip of your longest toe. You're going to be knitting your foot you're going to measure from this to this, and you're going to make this, okay, you measure your foot from the back of your heel to the length of your longest toe, and you can use a chart. Mine is 9.5 inches, and what you want to knit this for is you want to subtract 1.5 inches from the length of your foot. So for me, 9.5 minus 1.5, I'm going to make this 8 inches long. And where I'm at right now is I've knitted this for almost 6 inches. So I need to knit for 2 1/4 inches more. That'd be close to 8 inches. And then I'll start working on my toe. Okay, so you knit that for 8 inches, or whatever length it is of your foot, that measurement is, with subtracting the 1.5 inches off the length of your foot. Then, when you get to this part, you're going to do these decreases to start bringing your toe in to close it up. And that's what it looks like. 2 triangular pieces. I think I took a picture. I'll insert that picture. And then you're doing decreases on both sides. So you decrease, you have your needle 1 and your needle 2. You're doing 2 decreases on needle 1, 2 decreases on needle 2, which is why you end up having, I don't know if you can see that close. And then when you get through doing that, you take that down. When you get to 8 stitches on needle 1 and needle 2, that's when you do the Kitchener stitch to close up your toe. Explain it pretty well in my video clip, so let's watch that. Okay, I've just finished knitting my foot. So when you do the toe, you want to set your needles up again like you normally do with 28 stitches on both sides. Or mine is 28 stitches on both sides. Your needle 1 and needle 2. And you're going to do, this is a two stitch repeat. The first stitch is going to go, for the needle 1, you're going to go knit 1, slip, slip, knit, and then knit to the last 3 stitches. Then you're going to knit 2 together and knit 1. So you're going to be doing 2 decreases on each needle. For the first round, and then you're just going to do knit all the stitches on the second round. And you're going to do enough rounds to where you want to end up where you have the number of stitches that you're supposed to have left for your size sock. And for my size sock, it's a size small, so I have to have 14 stitches on each needle. I'm starting out with 28 on each needle, so I'm cutting the stitches down in half. I'm going from 28 to 14 on each needle. So again, the last 3, and then you're going to knit 2 together, and then knit 1. And on the after you do that, you turn it again like this, put your yarn over the top, pull your needle through, like that. Needle around. And you're going to do the same thing that you just did on the first needle. You're going to knit 1, then slip, slip, knit to the last 3 stitches, then knit 2 together, knit 1. You're going to do that, so we should be able to, easy to remember by the time you get to the end. So knit 1, slip, slip, knit, knit to the last 3 stitches. And again, this is we're working on the toe of the sock. And after we get these stitches decreased, we're going to do a Kitchener stitch. Oops. But you go to the last 3 stitches. Knit 2 together. Knit 1, and that's the first round. Now you turn this again. You're back to needle 1. Push that through. And for this round, you're just going to knit all the stitches. And you just repeat those 2 rounds again until you have 14 stitches on this needle and 14 stitches on this needle, or whatever the number is for you. For the medium, it's 16 stitches on each needle, and for the large, it's 18 stitches on each needle. And then when we get to that point, I'll show you what to do. Okay, I've decreased the stitches to where I said I had to get down to 14. You may have different target goals, like 16 or 18, depending on the size sock you're going to be making, but mine is a small, so I had to get to 14 stitches on each needle. And now we're going to be just repeating round 1 until we get down to 8 stitches on each needle. So round 1 was where you knit 1, SSK, knit to the last 3 stitches, knit 2 together, knit 1. Do that on both needles, so you have 2 decreases. You have a decrease at this end, decrease at this end of each needle. So you do knit 1, slip, slip, knit, knit to the last 3 stitches, then you knit 2 together, and knit 1. Turn it around and you do the same thing on needle 2 until you have, again, 8 stitches on each needle. Now that we're down to the to 8 stitches on both needles, it's time to do the Kitchener stitch to close this sock up. Yay! Alright, you want to grab a tapestry needle and you want to cut your yarn. I'm going to cut it like a good amount. Like, here, I'll just show you. I have that much yarn. It's more than I need, but so make sure you have a good amount. You want to thread this into your tapestry needle. Okay. To do the Kitchener stitch, it's just a 4-step process to follow. You hold your needles parallel like this. You go into the first stitch on the needle that's closest to you. Go into that stitch knitwise like this. You pull your yarn through like that. And then you go ahead and pull that stitch off the needle. You go on to, you stay on the first needle, the needle close to you. You go into the second stitch, purlwise, and leave it on the needle. Then you go into this, you go into the first stitch on the back needle. Go into that purlwise. And you're going to slip that off the needle, and then you go into the next stitch on the second needle, knitwise, and leave it on. You want to kind of give it just a little bit of a tug. Tighten it all up. Alright, so you start that 4-step process all over again. You go into your first stitch on the needle closest to you, knitwise, and pull that stitch off the needle. Go into the second stitch on the needle closest to you, purlwise, and leave it on. Then you go into the first stitch on the back needle, purlwise, and you're going to take it off. And then you're going to go into the next stitch, hip-wise and leave it on. Give it a little bit of a tug to close all that up. And you keep doing that over and over again until you're down to the last 2 stitches. And then leave it on. So you're left with the last 2 stitches. What you want to do is you want to go ahead and just take your needle off. Yeah, like that. Put these over here. You're done with your knitting needle. Stick your hand in your sock. With those last 2 stitches. Put it down into your sock, follow it around like that, put it into your sock, and pull it through. And there you go, your toe is closed up. Okay, so now you should have your toe closed up. Your sock is done. Your sock is done. The only thing you have to do is go back, and if you have like a little bit on one of your the sides of your sock is gonna probably have a hole more than the other. You can go back and close up that a little bit better. You can weave in the ends around your cuff, because you should have your where you cast on your stitches, you still have that string. You want to weave that in. And then when you do that, then you block your sock. You soak it in some wool wash and cool warm water. Wring them out, put them on your blockers, hang them up to dry. And the great thing about the blockers is it allows air to come through both sides. Again, these are what they look like. So see, air can come through and helps them to dry faster. This is what it looks like finished, and I love it. I'm going to take a picture of these on my feet so you guys can see how well they fit. And I'm excited about having these for, I had these for St. Patrick's Day. My next pair of socks I'm going to make, there is going to be a different method. And I will share that with you as well. So I just did top down. I'll do a totally different method for my next pair and share that with you. I have 2 other methods that I want to share with you guys. So again, thank you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed this type of video and this type of instructional tutorial, but I just wanted to share what I did in my own way. If you like that, please give this video a thumbs up. If you're not if you're new here and would like to subscribe to my channel, I would really appreciate that. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on the notifications, because I'm still working out my video schedules. Thank you for letting me share my knitting with you, my socks with you, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Like I said, I'm going to be doing more socks. I've got all kinds of new projects coming up in the end of March, beginning of April, and I'll be sharing that with you in another video. And would love for you to jump in and knit some of these things along with me, which is why I share these things, and I try to give you guys time to jump in and participate with me. Makes it a lot more fun for me if you guys are knitting something that I am, and we can share, share what's going on with each other's project. Or we're at the same project at the same time, or I'm maybe a little bit ahead, or you're a little bit ahead of me. We can collaborate and draw on our own experiences and help each other out. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Hope you have a lovely day. Thank you for being here, and we will catch you guys next time.